so I was at multiple Ukrainian counteroffensives. I saw the bravery of Ukrainians fighting and all the amount of work that goes into their operations. And this is a civilian army, largely composed of people who only recently picked up arms, and so really anything that harms Ukraine's position on the battlefield will have a large impact because we're the Ukrainian army is very much learning on the fly and needs all the help it can get.
What do we know about Jack Teixeira?
So he's 21 years old and was a member of the intelligence wing of the Massachusetts Air National Guard. Very junior, essentially had the rank of an enlisted personnel, and not even the top, so not an officer. It's not exactly clear how he would have had access to these types of highly classified documents, but many people are saying that through their own experiences of working in the U.S. intelligence community, it's relatively common, especially for junior members involved in analysis, to be, for instance, preparing slides for senior officers. He's obviously the news has just come out that he'll be arrested, and I mean, if it's found that he is guilty, he's looking at a pretty extensive prison term.
Yeah, my question was going to be, how can someone so junior get hold of that amount of documentation? But you said it may have sort of come about by admin duties, I suppose, if I'm to boil them down to their most basic form for more senior members of staff. We know that there are around 300 documents in total. We've only seen a fraction of them so far. What have we learned today? We are sort of getting bits of information each day, aren't we? What have we learned today in terms of new revelations? And just from your point of view, taking a stand back, what are some of the most serious elements of these leaks?
Sure, and I would add too, it's not just the documents that people have seen that are slides, literal copies of what was produced by U.S. military intelligence, but also apparently he was, according to the Washington Post, writing summaries of classified data even earlier. So it's hard to actually put an actual number on how many pieces of classified information were revealed. The big news that we've had in the last day or so is of course his identity, but also a better picture of exactly what this community that he was sharing these documents on was like. It was essentially a group of 20 or so young men with the individual Teixeira sharing this information seemingly as a way to gain status within the group, which is notable in that previous leaks appear to have been more ideologically motivated. This appears to have been much more of an individual wanting status.
Interesting. I should attribute it to the New York Times, by the way, who said that they have seen about 300 of the documents. That's where that figure has come from. So in terms of the motivation, originally perhaps for an idealistic standpoint, but have we got kind of a young member of personnel here? I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but perhaps getting off on the power and the call of being able to share these documents. Is there any other darker motivation that is being looked at here?
So people that I believe the Washington Post talked to who were also in this forum denied that they were involved in any sort of political group or had any political motivations. That said, there does appear to be a right-wing or far-right flavor to some of the comments he is said to have made, things that were racist or anti-Semitic. That said, there does appear to be a fair amount of posturing. So he's working in the intelligence wing of the Air National Guard, not a ground combat formation, but according to other members of this group, he was very much presenting himself as a Jason Bourne type figure, loved to talk about the guns that he had and portray himself as a bit of a Jason Bourne or James Bond type figure. So this may be a little bit a result of online culture and a desire to always be presenting yourself as something that you're not.
Yeah, so we're starting to get a bit of a picture here. Will there be more arrests to come? Do you think there are more people, operating within this amount of information? Does it all boil down to this one person?
There's a question to what degree of the people who then shared that information on, because of course, this classified information that he was sharing in a small chat came to the global media attention because it was shared to other channels. So there may be some consideration for those people. In his briefing today, the DoD was adamant to not step on the Department of Justice's toes in terms of what steps will be taken, but they did say that they are restricting the types of classified information that are being spread. And certainly this points to the possibility that large numbers of individuals have access to this information and could easily share it in similar ways. So I would imagine that the Department of Defense now is reviewing as many social media platforms as they can to establish whether there have been other leaks of this nature.
Yeah, there are so many ramifications, really, of this information, the reams of information coming to light. On Times Radio earlier today, Alicia Cairns, who's the Conservative chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, she said the leak may put British lives at risk.
I don't think this fundamentally changes our position, our effort, or our commitment to Ukraine. But of course, if these are proven to be a serious and genuine leak, then this will be worrying because what it does is it does put at risk US, allied, and UK assets around the world, particularly those working to save Ukrainian lives.
From your point of view, and we've only really got time for one more question, what is the most shocking revelation that you have heard so far via these leaks, Sam?
I mean, the near shoot down of the British surveillance plane in the Black Sea is quite shocking. Obviously, it's fantastic that it wasn't shot down, but one has to wonder if that had unfortunately occurred, what would have happened next in terms of actionable intelligence that adversaries of the US or the UK could use. It's obviously the deep US penetration of Russian intelligence networks. Obviously, the Russians will be working to shut down those leaks, and the less information the US has to share with Ukraine on Russia's operational situation, the more Ukrainian battle plans for the coming counteroffensive are put at risk.
And you've sort of had your own personal experience of that, haven't you, having spent 6 months in Ukraine?
Yeah, so I was at multiple Ukrainian counteroffensives. I saw the bravery of Ukrainians fighting and all the amount of work that goes into their operations. And this is a civilian army, largely composed of people who only recently picked up arms, and so really anything that harms Ukraine's position on the battlefield will have a large impact because the Ukrainian army is very much learning on the fly and needs all the help it can get.
Well,